The ocean should not sound like this. That was the first thought that struck Hana Sato, a 32-year-old mother on vacation with her young son. The sea hissed, then growled, gurgling as it pulled back. People around her lifted their phones, amused, confused, unaware. But soon their reality will take a brutal turn for the worst. 14 countries, 250,000 lives, and entire coastlines erased in minutes. This is the story of the 2004 Boxing Day Tsunami, one of the deadliest natural disasters ever recorded. Hana woke late. After getting dressed, she made her way to the kitchen. As she walked down the hall, she looked in Kenji's room. He lay there asleep, his toys scattered across the floor. Hana walked outside and looked at the ocean. The resort smelled of warm breakfast and ocean breeze. It was a perfect morning. Families were dotted across the beach. She watched a group of local children chase a flock of seagulls off and start laughing. In the distance, she saw a couple taking wedding photos near the waterline. No one sensed what was building beneath them. A massive section of the Indian plate grinding, locking, and finally snapping upward with the power of several thousand nuclear bombs. 800 miles away, the ocean floor rose, and the sea above it rose with it. The first wave raced outward at nearly 500 miles per hour, silent and unseen. Unaware, Hana and everyone around her were living their final moments of normalcy. It began with confusion, a gasp from one tourist, a shout from a fisherman, the sudden appearance of fish flopping helplessly on the sand. The water receded so far, so fast, it revealed rocks no one had ever seen before. A shoreline gutted to the bone. People began to walk on the freshly exposed shoreline and started filming this miraculous event. Hana did not. She grabbed Kenji's hand. Every instinct screamed leave, but she didn't know why. Then she heard it. A rumble, like distant thunder, low, growing, rolling across the earth. The sound survivors would later compare to a freight train, a sound that meant you had seconds. Tourists stared at the horizon. A thin white line appeared, far out at sea, stretching across the entire width of their vision. It grew, lifted, became a wall. And then the screaming began. Hana grabbed her son and ran. Behind her, the wave hit the shoreline, exploding through palm trees, shattering windows, and destroying buildings. A force that could snap concrete like twigs slammed into the resort. Hana felt water hit her back like a train, throwing her off her feet. Kenji slipped from her arms, a moment that replayed in her nightmares long after the ocean calmed. She surfaced, choking, fighting for air as the cars, furniture, palm trees, and pieces of buildings careened past her. A refrigerator tumbled beside her. A motorcycle spun underwater like a toy. She screamed for her son. Kenji! Her voice was drowned by the roar of the sea. Survivors often describe the tsunami not as a wave, but as a moving city of debris. Hana was slammed into a wall, dragged across the floor, then pulled out again by the retreating current. She clung to a floating table, coughing seawater, eyes stinging. Bodies drifted past, some alive, others not. This wasn't water. It was violence personified in liquid form. And somewhere in this chaos, Kenji was alone. Hana forced herself to move. Every piece of debris was a threat. Every second, the water shifted direction, sucking her deeper into the maze of destruction. She found a half-collapsed stairwell, and on the third rung, a small hand, Kenji, shaking, crying, but alive. She pulled him into her arms as the second wave hit. Many who survived the first wave didn't survive the second. It arrived taller, faster, filled with the debris the first wave had swallowed. Hana shielded Kenji with her body as the entire building groaned. Glass shattered, metal bent, and concrete moaned under the weight of the ocean. The stairwell collapsed behind them, cutting off their escape. But the second wave carried them upward, slamming them into the roof, and miraculously depositing them onto floating debris that drifted toward higher ground. They still weren't safe. For hours they floated, clinging, crying, waiting for help that might never come. When the water finally receded, the world was unrecognizable. Boats sat in the middle of highways. Cars dangled from rooftops. Entire families were missing. Entire cities were gone. The death toll climbed. 230,000 lives lost. The deadliest tsunami in modern history. Nations mourned. Coastlines rebuilt. And the world asked, how could so many people die with no warning? Scientists uncovered the truth. There were warning signs, but the Indian Ocean had no tsunami detection network, no evacuation protocols, no unified alert system. By the time the earthquake data was understood, the waves had already hit. In the years that followed, global warning systems were built, sirens installed, evacuation routes were mapped, and technology advanced. But for hundreds of thousands, the change came too late. Hana and Kenji survived, just two names in a sea of stories, each one carved into history with salt water and grief. The ocean returned to calm, pretending innocence. Tourists eventually returned. Life went on. But the Boxing Day tsunami remains a reminder. Nature doesn't wait. Warnings don't repeat. And sometimes, the world's greatest tragedies are not caused by what we couldn't see, but by what we weren't prepared to face. And if we forget that, history will find a way to remind us. Thank you for joining me on this journey into history's darkest tragedies. And remember, stay safe